What up, everybody? Welcome to Animation Study Buddies, the show where we take a look at cartoons through the lens of industry professionals. I'm your host, Wade, and I'm a professional storyboard artist, and I'm here with legend among men, Wayne Carlisi of One-on-One Animation. I'm going to just keep making them and go bigger from now on.
Dude.
So today we're not doing a lot of drawing in this one. We're waxing philosophical. We're talking about just art in general. There's some cool resources of some books that we talk about in here, and a lot of just getting into the headspace of not just a cartoonist, but an artist and the kind of beginning
and the beginners who who have a hard time. Where do you start? How do you do it? And everybody goes through it. This is a good one.
Everybody goes through it, but yeah, where do you start whenever you're just beginning as an artist and a cartoonist? Let's jump into it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, is that a lot of what we're doing as we're looking at these things, it's analysis. These guys are, masters. These cartoons are like classics. And, there are principles that are at play that we can observe in these. But I think, that idea of it's an art and not a science.
Right.
I a lot of people don't, I think, like that as an answer. I think we do want to kind of, I know myself included in this, really want to try to boil it down and get all almost make it a formula, without making it a formula, make it a formula. But I know my students, they hate it whenever I'm like, it's an art and not a science. I'm telling you this because of these principles, but early on, if you don't see it, it's really hard to grasp, I think.
It's what I went through, Wade. When I was first learning, that's exactly what I went through. I thought it was a formula. I thought there was only one way for bugs to do this scene. I would see it done, look at it, and think, okay, well, that's the only way you could do it. And it took me forever to get over the idea of quit trying to think of it as a formula. You want to know the principles and use those principles for your artistic taste of being an animator in any way you want to use it.
Yeah.
You could, like I said, 3 other animators could have come up with 3 completely different ways to do it. But this is following those basic principles of staging, drag, follow through, staying in arc, stretch and squash, I think, somewhere in there. They got very subtle with the stretch and squash, but that's a really good point. That was huge for me to come to the realization that there are many ways you can animate a scene.
I think so. Okay, to that end, then, I'm kind of curious. Whatever you're choosing your breakdown, because to me, choosing a story pose, a start, a stop, even kind of I get what you're talking about with the secondary kind of what do you call them? Secondary
action?
Yeah, secondary actions. I'm tracking with you there. Whenever it does get into that realm of the breakdown, because that's also just in case, I don't know, uh, that's a new term. That's also passing action, right?
Uh,
A
I'm
breakdown,
sorry.
like just in case breakdown is like an unfamiliar term or a new term, like it's also can be described as passing action, correct? I think that's what.
Oh yeah, that's
uh,
what I think Williams
yeah,
calls some of the drawings. Calls them. I
and
never heard that term. Yes,
that
yes,
was
but
always a huge point of confusion for me as well. Like, is it breakdown? Is it passing action? But yeah, so
let,
even
let,
that
let,
is
let me.
subjective.
But exactly, it is all subjective. Let me make this real clear. All these terms, passing action, extremes. This is how he works. Extremes. Those first two keys would be his extremes. I called them keys. Then my secondary keys. All those terms, of breakdown, passing action, all that, it's important to know it just for the language of communicating with each other when you're doing the animation. The most important thing is if you got to add in another drawing somewhere or take out a drawing somewhere, it doesn't matter. All you really care about is the end result of how the scene is working. That goes back to what we were talking about. Is it a formula or is it an art form?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
an art form.